Hey, welcome to the Lifestyle Creation Podcast, designing life on your terms. I'm your host, Jamie Thurber, and I'm an expert operations manager, productivity queen, mindset, business, and lifestyle coach. Basically, getting shit done is my jam. And I believe in the power of intentional living and in real conversations that can shift your perspective, create habits, and ultimately achieve the freedom that you want in every area of your life. Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Lifestyle Creation Podcast. It has been a minute. So in the almost 2 years that we've been recording, I have never taken a break. We've produced an episode every 2 weeks, no matter what. It has come out, no matter what was going on in my life and what we were doing or any of those things that always happened. And the last month, I took a break. It wasn't necessarily a planned break either, but it was me listening to myself and also my commitment that I have to what I produce. And so what I mean by that is every time I sat down to record, it felt really pressured. It felt really, forced is basically what, that's how it felt, was very forced. And so I don't like that. I don't like to do things just for the sake of doing them. I like to let something of substance and of value flow from me how it's meant to. So I took that as, a sign that I needed to just take a hot break there for a minute. So that's what I did. And I am happy to do that because now I have 4 ideas right now I'm excited about that I'm going to record here soon, almost back to back probably, because I have so much to share now. So one of the things I kind of wanted to cover today was just quickly that the longer that I've been doing the work that I do, and those are for you who are new, I am a life and business coach. I've been doing this for many, many years. I'm a production manager, operations manager, human behavior, mindset, all of those things. So I help various people in various ways. And I've been doing this privately for myself for 6 years and overall for 10, 11 years. Basically, what I've learned a lot of is that the more that I just follow what naturally comes for me, the better off everything is. Meaning the less I force, the less I push, the less I pull. And what I didn't know at the time, what I've learned to know now is that it's called alignment. It's trust. It's alignment of what matches what it is that you truly desire, what it is that you have that matches what you truly desire. And so in those cases, that's what's really important, right? So I think that what it is that it's in those moments of trusting and being in alignment with what you really desire, not only in your belief, but in your actions or lack of actions. With it all being super intentional, it all adds up really well. It'll all add up to manifestation or to things coming to fruition that you've been wanting a lot faster than forcing and pushing and pulling and basically working yourself in a not smart fashion. None of that works. It really doesn't. And if it does work, it has really bad side effects. So recently, over the past couple of years, I guess I should say, every coach that I have or every person that you listen to is you should be creating programs and programs and programs and selling programs and doing programs. And it just never felt really right to me in a lot of cases. I have my private clients, which to me, what a private client means is that they pay me the highest level and we work together week to week. So every week we're on a phone call. I'm engulfed in their business, engulfed in their personal lives, involved in everything that's going on, keeping detailed documentation of every step and every stage that we're going through, and I'm there to support them through everything. I dive a little deeper than most coaches do as far as helping with copy, helping with marketing, helping with website design and website creation, working with people that they hire and being a project manager on some projects, things like that, because those are the things that I really enjoy. also. Like, I like offering that to clients. But anyway, there's that level. And then I also have clients that pay me on more of a consulting fashion where we speak monthly or quarterly, and I can do on-site visits, work with their teams, work with their management staff, things like that, to really get some stuff lined out for them to then take with and run. And then I come back, however long, month, 2 months, 3 months, to check in, tweak what we need to tweak, put in more things in practice. Because the truth is making a big shift and change in creating what's going on within your business and organization, it takes a little bit of time to really lay down those tracks, right? And really get them in place. So that's a situation too, but not one that I actually very much so even promote or talk about. It's just more of a referral, and people come to me and then they ask, can you help me with this? And then we work it out, basically. And then I have a coaching group, which is Operation Do, which you've heard me talk about. And I've had that for years, you guys. Like, I've been doing private coaching for 6 years. I've been doing project management for 7. And I've been doing my group for 3. So that's like a weekly call, and it's support within the group. And you have access to hundreds of videos, and it's a very cool place to be. It's a super low price point on purpose so that it's affordable, and it's a place to plug in for people. But as far as all the places in between, right? Like, all of the world tells you, oh, you should be creating programs all the time, constantly launching programs. And there's definitely a lot of value in that, but I refuse to force it. Like, I refuse to launch a course just for the fucking sake of launching a course or a program. I've done that before, and it doesn't work. And here's a fun fact. Like, it doesn't work, and it leaves you feeling like shit. Like, it can leave you feeling like, oh my God, I'm a loser. Nobody cares. This isn't good. And what I do is not good. Like, my people just don't buy from me. My audience doesn't care. All of those things. When obviously you also have other pieces of data that show you that's not true. But for me, what I've noticed and what I've learned from all my mentors and people that I coach is that the more we force things, the worse it goes. And also, and as a result, a lot of times that leaves us feeling pretty shitty too. So in my journey, I've gone back and forth with that because it's so easy for us to be influenced by people we're trying to learn from, and by people who are influencers or whatever, or mentors, or, like the big names like Tony Robbins and Marie Forleo and Gary Vaynerchuk, like those people. Like, honestly, what I've found in my experience is when I'm focusing more on like those top tier, like top level coaches, I am good. I'm so good. Like, I'm not altering from what I know I need to be doing. I'm not trying to question, like, is this enough money? Should I be coaching more? Should I be launching more? Should I be like, none of that shit comes into practice when I'm talking or when I'm learning and from and consuming content of people at that level. It's when I go in a space where I'm working with business coaches and people who are also figuring it out, and coaching people who are trying to figure it out, that I get a little influenced, maybe in ways that after the fact I'm not always so happy about, right? And so what I mean by that is, in some cases it's like, well, you should do less. Like, that's what's happened to me recently over the past year or so. Like, you do too much, you got to cut yourself some slack, you need to take some breaks, you need to take days off, all those things, which are accurate statements, but not according to anyone else's standards, according to my standards. So I've had to work through figuring out what's the balance for Jamie, right? Like, what's the balance for Jamie? Because my natural state is to be sharing my life, creating content, doing the things, like, I started this whole business, you guys, on the concept of my life is my business is my life. I get paid and make money off of the way that I choose to live my life and how I share it with you, right? Like, that's the case. Some of you guys who listen here have been in my space for 5+ years, and you see that and you know that, and maybe you've noticed that it's changed a little bit. There are parts of me that I don't share like that anymore, and it's not because I don't want to. It's because what I'm recognizing lately is it's because somewhere along the line somebody told me that I needed to tone down the amount that I was doing. And it also, I think, turned into quote unquote work, when before it didn't feel like work. It was just a part of what I did. And it was everybody else around me. Well, not everybody, but the majority of people around me who were seeing what I was doing, who were like, wow, this is too much. You should be doing less than this. You should be resting. You should be this, which is funny because on the flip side, it's like, you're not doing enough. You need to be making more money, blah, blah, blah. So it's sometimes you have to take a deep breath and look around and be like, wow, like none of this shit that I'm hearing from these people truly matches up, right? And that's not at their fault. It's at the fact that we are all different, and not all coaches like really fully recognize and honor the fact that we're all so different. And not a lot of influencers do that, where it's like, let me show you my experience, and then in the same breath, let me explain to you some examples of how you can figure out how something like this similarly can serve you in your life, right? Like that's the ultimate fucking goal. But most people don't go to that next step because it's deeper and it's harder to explain, and typically you're not going to make as quick of a dollar in that world. So anyway, super not bashing anybody, by the way. Like I'm definitely not bashing anybody. Like I have multiple coaches. I've spent multiple six figures on coaching over the last 10 years, and I'm grateful as fuck for all of them. I've learned things even from some of my worst experiences. I've taken away great lessons, like, because you kind of have to, right? Like you either get mad at yourself for investing a whole lot of money into somebody that didn't provide, and that you didn't like speak up about, or you choose to learn what you can learn from whatever situations presented to you. And so that's where I reside. And so the other day I was sitting there thinking about my birthday. So the next podcast is going to be about my love affair with October, and I'm going to explain it to you in detail simply because it's a really valuable lesson in ways that maybe you can utilize similar things to really anchor in and establish some really cool manifestation practices for yourself. But I was sitting there thinking about October and what I wanted to happen, because every year on my birthday, I give away something or do some sort of a big, massive sale. And a lot of times it's always been like on a project or on a product or on like a laser session, or you can buy one get one into the group or something like that each year, right? There's always something that I do, free masterclass, something. This year, so I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, it needs to be big. Like something big feels like it's coming, it's birthing. So much so that it's probably the last month that I wasn't recording is the reason why I wasn't recording, because something was just like bubbling up that I needed to let formulate and come out of me. And as a result, I've created this thing. I've been referring to it as the birthday thing because at first, like, I could care less about what it was called. That's the truth. Like a lot of times when I create, it's funny, it throws people off that are, involved in the process a little bit, because they're like, wait a minute. So what's it going to be? What's it called? And I'm like, I mean, it doesn't really matter what it's called. Like, let's just talk about what it is first. And so I would go, that's just the way my creative process works. It's, of course we need to title things in order for us to like put them in groups on the mailing list and put them in groups on who's getting what on program or on videos and, shit like that. But basically I ended up naming it liberation, simply for the fact that like, that's the only word that could come even freaking close to really identifying what I'm creating here. And it's because it's like, it's kind of mastermindy. So masterminds are typically, like, not everybody does them this way, but like in the, original sense of a mastermind, it's like-minded people that are all contributing and all interacting and all growing with each other. And there's usually like a coach or somebody who's leading the pack basically, and really establishing and making sure it's super productive for everyone. Everyone's getting what they need. That's basically like the concept of a mastermind. And then you have like a lot of people who launch these inner circle things, right? So your inner circle is like your top tier, high level clients that are like almost where you're at. And you're giving them like the highest level of access to yourself and to your teachings and into your life and things like that. So that's a lot of like inner circle type thing. And then it's just, then I personally, I know other people do this, but I don't know what their concept is, but I do an incubator a couple times a year. And the way that I look at an incubator is it's like a 3 to 4 month little pod session of like, I'm going to throw a few people in this, like 3 to 4 people in this incubator. It's going to provide them a shitload of really deep information to think about that's life altering, and that's like really stuff that you put into practice deep down in your life. And then I'm going to coach them through it, and I'm going to send them out into the world with tools and plans and things that to continue doing that, right? So that's really how that works. And then, there's mentorship programs, there's all these different things. And so I'm like, this thing that I like came out of me is kind of a mixture of all that. So what the hell do I call it, right? Well, guess what? It doesn't really matter what I call it. But I really wanted to I've actually never done this. I've never done a podcast episode to talk about a thing that I've created. And I don't really know why I've never done that, because here's how I feel about life in general. I feel like if you're wanting to learn something from anything, you will. Like, meaning listening to this, there are bits and pieces of everything that I will say that if you're desiring to take something away from it, you will. You'll find little nuggets of value through everything that someone is saying if you choose to, right? And so telling you this whole kind of story of how this birthed, I feel like, is a really valuable lesson for a lot of people, because here's the other part. I used to do this, and it's never been the most lucrative action for me. It's always been much more lucrative for me to do it the way I'm doing it right now. But like, I used to have everything perfect before I would launch it. And it wasn't that it was perfect, because I've never been one to like have all of the content recorded and all of it really beautiful and all of that stuff before I launch a program. It's not my jam. Most of the time, I'm going through it as it comes to me, and that's the best way that I teach. Like, so if you were ever to see me teach live or come to a live event or something like that, like, I have an idea. I have a rough idea of what I want to discuss, but I really just go with whatever comes to me, and I trust myself, and it always is right. So that's what I'm doing. I've done the last several little things that I've done, like the men's incubator I recently did. Like, all of that was very from intuition and from gut, and it's rocking and rolling. Those guys are literally like, they're like the little head blown off emoji. That's what they are. Like, their world's getting rocked in like the coolest ways, and it's perfect. That's the best part. Like, it always seems to turn out perfect. So same thing here. Like, in this situation, it's the most beautiful and transformative things that I do aren't insanely structured, which is funny considering that I help people have structured processes and programs, right? And I think that's the beauty of it, is understanding where there's a place where that is necessary, and the structure and the planning and all of the steps is really, really fucking crucial. And then there are places where the best thing you could possibly do is allow yourself to breathe a little bit and go with the flow, but also like staying connected and staying in alignment as that flow is happening, to make sure that what you're doing is leading you in the proper direction. And so that's one of the pieces that too, like, how do you create that, Jamie? Like, what you said just sounds great, but like, how in the fuck do I do that? Well, that's part of this whole situation that I'm getting ready to tell you about. It'll be part of that, because it's kind of difficult. Like, I can't take you to that place. But what I can do is, as I'm helping you think about things differently and do things differently and whatever, when you get to that place, you have me to ask those questions to, and I can help you realize it and in the real time and do that stuff. And that's the value of something like this liberation program, I guess we're going to call it, or liberation circle or group or thing. And so, as I was, like I said, back to October, so I was sitting there thinking about what I wanted to give away for my birthday. And I was like, man, I really want to I've been craving doing this type of container. When I say container, I mean like a space that people plug into, and it's very intimate, and it's very safe, and it's very powerful, and it's very transformative, and it's just a really badass space, right? I've been feeling I've been craving creating a space like that. And then so I let myself sit there and kind of let this all come to fruition. And the thing about it is that it birthed into something really cool. And it's like, I didn't even really see it coming. I knew that I wanted a higher level of communication with the people involved. Here's what happened. So I realized that over the last 10 years of my like deciding I needed to discover who in the fuck I was, and also learn how to work with that, like how to not change anything about who I am, but more understand those things, see what needs to be healed, what needs to be let go of, what needs to be shifted, and like really how to utilize my magical powers and like my strong suits to best benefit me. And I would say that when I started to harness that and realize how to make it work for me is when my career really took off. It's when I really started getting the respect of the people in my industry. That's when I really started, getting the respect more of my boss and my colleagues and making more money and making a big impact in the industry that I was in. The truth is I made such an impact in the industry in my area that when I, like just recently, I walked into a shop to just get a quick safety and admissions, and I walked in to introduce myself and tell the guy about my car. And I didn't even have my cool Jeep. Like, people know my cool Jeep. They don't know my other Jeep. But as I walked in, he was like, no, I know you. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's kind of cool to realize that after all of this time, that's still a thing. But that came from me really learning about myself and really learning like what my attributes were, where my strong suits were, how I could really tap into those and use them versus how the rest of the world wants me to tone them down because they're big and loud and make them scared. I had to learn how to use them. But that doesn't mean that it's been easy, right? It doesn't mean that it's not been multi-layered of crazy weird rules and weird belief systems and things that don't make sense and all of that shit. Like, it's a whole different level of that. And so basically, along the lines, I've been so grateful to have so many different support systems to help me. But I'll tell you what, it wasn't until this last year or so that I really established a support system that gave me everything that I was craving and needed. And that still is made up of multiple people, right? So what I've envisioned for this is women who are like me or want to really unleash those pieces of themselves that are so powerful. And what I mean when I say that is being multifaceted is hard to explain unless you really are multifaceted. And what I mean by that is like the polar opposites of certain things, like parallels that don't make sense to other people, like all of these pieces that you can possess as a person that do make you more powerful and make you better and make you this. And what I believe to be true is that if you don't let yourself fully embrace those things, then there's like a little part of you that's constantly like dying or feeling locked up. And eventually, I'll tell you what, that little part of you is going to scream and lose its shit and freak you out and whatever. Like, I always go back to, remember when you were a kid and, well, I mean, maybe not everybody did this, but I grew up Catholic and we went to, Bible school or whatever. And the song, This Little Light of Mine, and it's like, let it shine or whatever. And it's hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine, right? Like, I remember people like yelling about, no, don't hide it. Well, because it feels that constriction there feels like you're fucking suffocating. There's been several times in my life where I've had to become really honest with the fact that I felt like I was freaking suffocating. And most of those times when I felt like I was suffocating, it's because I wasn't allowing myself to fully be me. Because somebody somewhere told me it wasn't okay. It was too much. It made other people uncomfortable. These things. Like, I just am recently going through another layer of this around finances. Like, it is okay for me to make this certain amount of money, even though it makes everyone around me really uncomfortable. Even though it might be more than my brother makes. It might be more than my parents have ever made. It might be more than, whatever. Here's a kicker. It might be more than my boyfriend makes. Oh, what? Right? So there's so many layers. So anyways, part of it was that I'm like, there are women out there in the world that I know are like me, that have a multi-passions, that are pieces of them that the world has told them that don't make sense to fit together. And so they don't allow it all to exist. And as a result, they're always searching, right? You're always searching and you're always like feeling like you're the only one, and you're not the fucking only one, is what I have to say about that. So my goal here is to create a space where I can help women. This is going to be a women's only thing. Help women figure out and really cultivate a way of existing fully as themselves and with a balance that a lot of people tell you doesn't exist. Because here's the deal, like, I have an insane work ethic. I work hard and I work smart I didn't used to work smart, but I work smart now. I work hard and I work smart and I get shit done. And there's a lot of strategy involved. Like I've had to like really work on myself to allow myself to say this. I'm a branding genius. Like I'm very good at people branding and marketing themselves and very good at helping with that. The way that we create and do content in my business alone is insane. It's so good. Like those are things I'm very strategic about what I'm doing, the moves I'm making, why it's happening, and it's natural to me, right? So being that like badass businesswoman who is literally thriving and always creating and always has like 100 moving pieces that are happening and it's all being managed. Even though when I say it out loud, it feels extreme, it's really not like because I'm able to do that, right? But then I also am this woman who, until the age of 25, never let herself be feminine, like in the feminine energy, like never really let myself be soft, never really let myself sink into anything. Everything was strategy, everything was masculine. And when I started to learn that, hey, I have feelings too, and I feel a lot less shitty about myself and a lot less stress and anxiety if I start to establish and allow myself to have feelings out loud, because that's okay too, and that doesn't make me emotional and it doesn't make me dramatic and it doesn't make me weak or any of those things. And so it's like really learning to find my own natural rhythm has been a magically cool experience for me. But what I'm getting at as I'm sharing this with you is I know that there's a lot of women who are one or the other, who don't feel like they can be both. I also closely follow the lunar cycles and the energy of the moon. It makes my body very happy. It's like something that like my bones crave, and I love that. I've also learned to work with what's going on in the universe as far as energy goes and work with what's happening in my own body every month. Like instead of being dreading and being angry and all of these things, I start to learn what's happening and how to work with it, how to work with that energy, fuel myself differently physically as far and mentally, emotionally. Like, okay, we have a really demanding life, most of us women, right? Like we have families and schools and houses and businesses and jobs and our bodies and all of these freaking things to maintain, and we're supposed to do all of it, right? Well, there's a way, but we have to make sure as we're budgeting out the amount of energy and output we're putting out for everything else, we have to make sure that we're also budgeting time to go to the gas station to fill up our own tanks, right? So there's a way to do that. But again, I feel like a lot of people don't think you can have this masculine space of getting a lot of things done and being really focused on business in that very man-minded type way, and be connected to the earth and focus on grounding every day and mindset work every day and manifestation every day. Because here's the deal, all of the years that manifestation didn't work for me are because I didn't understand that manifestation is trust. Manifestation is intuition, which is all very feminine energy. And I never had both. I always just lived in one spot, right? And so the whole purpose of this space is to allow not only a small group of women to be able to connect with other women who think like them and that are craving what I'm talking about right now, but also to be able to learn from all this stuff and life experience and things that I've been through as well. Like I said, I've been learning about this and learning from professionals and doing my own education for 10 years, right? And from dozens of professionals with six figures of investment in this shit. And so it's like, I really wanted to create a space where no matter where you're at with that, if this is a thing you're committed to, like I want to help you commit to it deeper and do it in your way, on your terms, in the way that actually feels like it's serving you. And that's really important to me because I know how important that is to the success of women. And I know how much we're missing that, especially the ability to talk to somebody about it that's not judging you, that's not trying to tell you what's right and what's wrong, because that doesn't exist anyways, that's literally just encouraging, also can ask the questions you need to hear, is willing to give you advice, willing to help you understand those types of things. And so the whole purpose of this space is to learn from for me to share my last 10 years of this journey, but also to be able to share where I'm at now. Because here's the thing we need to understand. This is a never-ending journey, right? And I don't mean to say that in a scary way. I mean to say it in a really freaking cool way. Because my depth of of comprehending and understanding and living a concept that I was, given 5 years ago changes month to month to month. So I'm constantly in a state of evolution, which is where I think we all should be in order for us to not feel stagnant and not feel this like, we're boxed in kind of feeling with like women like us feel if we don't express all of these things. And so it's like to be able to share in the moment riffs about like how I'm experiencing this. What are my instant thoughts on this right now? What have I gone through? Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's powerful as fuck. And that's something that I've never given access to in this way before. And like, I mean, my heart literally is exploding as I'm talking about this because the depth and the importance of what all of this is insane. So really quickly, because I'm still talking, I'm going to go ahead and just explain what this is really quick. So if you're interested, you can message me that you're interested and I'll send you all of the details as how this works. Also, if you know somebody who you think would be interested, if you could share this podcast episode with them, that would be extremely amazing, not only for me, but for them. Because not everybody is going to hear this. And there's a lot of people, like if somebody came to mind here, you should share it with them. That kind of shit happens for a reason. If some part of you is like, yes, that's me, send me a message and let's have a conversation, because those things, again, also happen for a reason. So what's included in this situation is it's going to be 7 months of support for 6 months of payments, or if you pay in full, there's a huge discount. So it'd be like, a monthly fee basically for 6 months, but you're getting 7 months of support. And what that support includes is if you don't know about it, Voxer is a voice messaging app that I've been using for 6 years with my clients. We're going to have a group voice messaging app or voice messaging chat where we are all connecting every single day, where you can say anything you want, ask any questions, share wins, share losses, share frustrations, ask what to do, blah, blah, blah. And everyone in that space will be supportive. I will be in there every single day voice messaging you back, which is an insane value that I don't even give to my private clients, just so you know. I will also be giving weekly check-ins through voice note and chat, like a voice chat with you every single week. We'll have it kind of established when we're going to do it. I'll check in with you about how the week went before, where you're at right now, what your focus is going to be for the following week, and what I can help you with. And we'll have a chat every single week, briefly. I don't know, depending on how long it's needed or whatever, but I'll do that with each member every week. You'll get to pick what day is best for you, and we'll do it that way. Every month we're going to do a live Zoom group hangout with all of us, depending on how all the women feel. Like we may do a bit of like energy work together, we may do meditation together. Like we're totally going to go with what is needed and cultivate for the specific space and women that are in this space, which is really one of the most beautiful ways to do something like this. Each woman will also receive one call. There'll be 6 calls, so you can use the 6 calls. That'll be a private 1-hour coaching session with me that you can use at your discretion, 1 per month, basically. And then there is a private off of social media app where there will be a place for you to post any written things that you want to do, like big, long things you can share. But also there'll be over a dozen, so more than 12 different videos that'll be posted in there that you'll have access to for life. That will be new videos that are specifically created for this group and for the needs of the women in this space. There will also be some of my tried and true, most popular, most successful videos for others on everything from manifestation to money mindset to planning and productivity to ways to, maximize your time, to anything that I feel is really the most powerful for you. Everything that I place in that container on that app, you will have lifetime access to. So it's really like just this really cool mesh of amazing support that every part of my being is wanting to give. So here's the part of where the birthday part comes into practice, okay? So I'm going to do my whole birthday weekend, which is Friday, October 8th. So the 8th, 9th, and 10th, I am going to do a birthday special to where it'll be $2,000 off the top of the cost. So what that means is if you were to pay in full, you're going to pay $2,000 less than the original full price. And if you're going to pay, do monthly payments for 6 months, it's about $300 less than, you'll be locked in at $300 less each month than the original dollar amount. So all of this will be launching details in my mailing list. I'll put a link below for you to sign up for the mailing list if you'd like to. If you're not sure yet and you want to make sure you get all that stuff, do that. But if you're interested in having conversation, I'm open to getting on phone calls with people or video chatting or whatever we need to do to kind of talk about this. If you have questions, I want you to feel comfortable. So my email address is below, or it's me, like me, at jamiethurber.com. It's below. Send me a message in your subject line. Please put interested, and I will know that that's what you're asking about, and we'll get back to you ASAP and be able to chat with you about all the details, answer any of your questions, things like that. And then if we're not connected on social, make sure you connect on social, because I'll be sharing more and more about this. If you're just interested in hearing more, all of the stories that I'm sharing about this will be continuously super freaking valuable, because again, it's all really, really in depth of my experiences from handling depression and moving and anxiety and health concerns and health issues while maintaining all of the things I was talking about, establishing these things. Like, I'm going to talk about all of the aspects of that because we're all human. So it's really cool that like hype I just talked about sounds cool and everything, but that's not always what's happening, right? Like, we live in a real world where shit happens and cars break down and people get divorced and kids get sick and we get sick and whatever, right? And so that's all part of the mix, as well as like how to manage. The other thing that I wanted to note really quickly that I think is very important is the fact that the time frame is perfect. So we'll be starting at the end of October and we'll be running through roughly May. And so here's why I did it that way. I did it that way, number one, because I don't want to work with people who are half in. I want to work with people who are like, fuck yeah, let's fucking do this, right? That's how I roll. I don't do anything with people for less than 6 months with anyone in any aspect. That's just how I do coaching. And so I really want people who are committed to really learning and taking a risk on themselves and investing in themselves and doing this together, because it's going to be life-changing, like 100% without a fucking doubt. It will be life-changing. And I know that. And that might sound boastful to say, but it's the truth. So anyway, there's that. And, because I also believe in but like tapping into the energies of the season, I'll be able to take you through the shedding, like leaving things behind that we don't want to take with us into the new season, part of the autumn. I'm going to take you through all of the depth of knowing yourself through the winter. And then we're going to take ourselves into birthing our new ideas, planting our seeds, and getting ready for the new things that we want in the springtime together. And also the other part is that the holidays are hard, you guys. Let's just be real. Shit happens. We get caught up. It gives us enough time in October and the beginning of November to really set a stage to where you have your support system in me and in the other people in the group and in, what we set up together, to where the holidays are not going to throw you for a loop. They're not going to kick your ass. And if they do, you have me in your corner, in your pocket, in your hand, basically, to help you. And so like, what a beautiful space to have that support through the holidays. And then after, like, the aftermath, and then really staying in this really great zone to get us through the spring. And it's going to be just trust me when I say the timing is literally the best you could look for in what is a beautiful assistance and support time. So it's all just working out so magically and so perfectly and better than I can ever even have imagined. So I hope you're still listening. If you're here, that's amazing. As always, like, I appreciate you so much for even being here and chiming in and tuning in, I should say. I wish you could chime in. I wish there was a way for us to do that. But it's just, if you can't tell, this entire thing is literally divinely led. It's so in alignment. It's flowing out of me, and there's zero doubt that it's going to be amazing and magical. And like I said, completely life altering in the ways that, like, all of the areas of your life, your health, your family, your business, your personal self-worth, your personal health, your wellness, your mentality, like all of these things will be impacted in a positive direction. Like, there is no fucking doubt. So again, if this is something that you are interested in, shoot me an email, please. connect with me or get on the email list if you're wanting to just get the messages. So we have a few days before the birthday sale launches. Like I said, it'll be the 8th, 9th, and 10th. So that gives you 72 hours to get that deal. And like, it's a pretty fucking amazing savings plan. So just to give you a little perspective really quickly, the original price will be $1,888 per month or $10,000 if you pay in full. Okay. And usually people can break that into two if they want, but like within a small time frame. That's just within a conversation together. Then during my birthday, $2,000 off, right? So $2,000 off the top. So that would bring that $10,000, because if you pay $10,000 in full, you're saving $1,400. But if you do the birthday special during those 3 days, then you're locking yourself in at either $1,555 a month for 6 months, for 7 months of support, by the way. Don't forget about that. You're paying 6 payments for 7 months of support, and you're locking yourself in. You can lock in at $8,000 for pay in full if you do it that way as well. Here's the deal. I sat there and added it up, and the amount of private calls, coaching calls, direct access to me, all of the trainings, this is like a $21,000 value. So you're getting double the amount. Like if you were to buy all these things separately from me, which most of it you couldn't anyways, but if you were to buy all of these separately from me, you'd be paying more than double that it costs, and realistically it's not even available to do anyway. So this is really a unique opportunity. And if you're interested in this price, just message me. Like, let's have a conversation about what's going on. If you're like, everything inside you screaming like, this is what I have to do, just send me a message and let's talk about it. And just as like something to reference, to private coach with me, which is 4 calls a month for 6 months, is $3,500 a month. So you're getting every single day access to me all of the time, monthly calls in 2 ways, like all of this stuff for a really, really good price point. Like I wanted it to be something that was impactful to you to invest, but also affordable for the type of woman that I'm really wanting to make this happen. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here in general. I love you. I really, really do. I feel really connected. I feel almost like I'm having a direct conversation with you as you're listening. And I'm hoping that you're feeling how much my heart is pouring out to you, and that it's fueling you well and lifting you up and raising your energy. I hope to hear from you if liberation is the thing that you've been waiting for. So enjoy the rest of your day. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.